Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the month of April 2021. Really looking forward to this month. I think it's going to be a month of action, progress, and momentum. And I think this is sort of maybe to set us up for the Jupiter and Pisces cycle. So this is the last calendar month where we have Jupiter in Aquarius for the time being. Jupiter's moving super fast this month. Mercury's moving super fast this month. And there's almost this idea here of putting our thoughts, feelings, and momentum and getting things done so we can really sort of bask in that sort of potential good luck and opportunity that Jupiter in Pisces offers. So this month is a really busy month. We have lots of sign changes. So we have Mercury starting the month in Pisces. By the 3rd in the north, the 4th in the south, Mercury will move into Aries, where it will stay until the 19th, then moving into Taurus. So the bulk of April has Mercury in Aries. So Mercury in Aries, as opposed to Mercury in Pisces, is a boost in dignity for Mercury. As March ended, we had Mercury conjoin Neptune. Then it moves into Aries. And so to me, this really speaks of almost like a astrological rehab, a drying out, gaining clarity, clear thoughts, clear speech, clear ideas. Anything to do with Mercury, just sort of gaining speed, progress, and momentum, not being bogged down anymore. So we have Mercury in Aries, and we also have Mars in Gemini. So they're sharing signs with each other, known as mutual reception, and they're forming an aspect, and that's the sextile. So Mercury is in Mars's sign and Mars is in Mercury's sign. So this is, and they form an aspect. So this is really positive, particularly for situations to do with taking action around a thought or an idea, getting clarity of speech, clarity of communication. This is what I want, and this is what I need to do to get it. I love this because there is a quick transition from an idea to an action. So this can be really helpful. So things can move quickly under this energy. There's this idea here that you don't need to mull things over so quickly or so long. You don't need to do a list of pros and cons. You don't need to do a risk assessment for every little thought that you have or every little thing that you want to do. This might be speaking to some of my own personal bias here, but when I reflect on some of the decisions that I've made over the years, some of the best ones have just been when I decide and do. I don't think about it. I don't think about all the possibilities or the outcomes. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel with something, because you really only get clarity or answers with action. And so you're really supported with that this month. The sextile between these two planets, Mercury in Aries and Mars in Gemini, perfects on the 17th and 18th. So that sort of mid-weekend there, mid-month weekend. That's at 26 Aries Gemini. So this is going to really help you, decide and do. Get momentum and movement where things may have been a bit stuck or stagnant or a little bit foggy as April, March moves into April. So this is going to be great for all Mercury ruled things. So whether that is, business, money, logistics, whether you want to write something, create something, get something moving. So it's really positive. And I think this is going to be one of the main features of this month, is that you will feel less stuck. This is going to be great if you are, needing a bit of a oomph or a push with something. If you are someone who's a bit risk averse or wants to know all the possibilities around something, this aspect can help you move a bit quicker. If you already have a tendency to sort of shoot from the hip when it comes to taking action or speaking up about things, this could land you in hot water in certain situations. So that, I guess, comes with a little bit of a caveat. And it really just depends on your own nature and how you go with the idea of deciding and doing. But if you're okay with it, you can get a lot done this month. So whatever you achieve, whatever you decide, and whatever you do can really set you up for success as we move into some of the more abundant astrology moving forward. So what else did I want to mention? Okay, so the new moon. So we have the first new moon of the astrological new year, which to me is one of the more exciting lunations of the year, because it's the first new moon of the astrological new year. So that was when the sun moved into Aries, and now we have the new moon happening at 22 degrees. So a little bit later in the Aries cycle, or in the Aries season. So you may have been mulling over some new starts, fresh beginnings, what am I going to be doing type of thing. And this lunation is perhaps really kicking off this process or this cycle. The new moon in Aries is my personal favorite lunation of the year, hands down, for manifesting, setting goals, reflection, setting intentions, manifesting, all those sorts of things. So what people might actually do on New Year's Eve or January 1, whatever, I do on the Aries new moon. I've always done vision boards, set goals, and I use my perfected Lord of that year to help inspire me to do that. I have a workshop available on my website where you can access all this material. It's the Aries New Moon workshop. Now, if you're not a friend of Aries, if you don't like the Aries New Moon, if it's not well aspected or doesn't fall in a favorable house in your chart, you might like to use the lunation that rules your 11th house. So if it's Scorpio, it might be the Scorpio new moon. If it's Pisces, you might have to wait till next year till the Pisces new moon. Whatever it is, you can still use these tools and materials at any time. You might choose an election that supports you. It doesn't have to be the new moon, but this is just an energy that can really support that. So the new moon in Aries, it's super close to Venus in Aries. Actually, let me just share the screen and I'll show it to you. So we'll animate this chart. So this is the 1st of April, and we'll just skip through, not hours, we want days, and we'll skip through until about the 12th, which is here in Australia. So this will take place, just the data and the details for everybody. Here in Australia on the East Coast, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, we're looking at the 12th of April at 12:30 p.m. If you're in the sort of New York time zone, it's 10:30 p.m. on the 11th. And the Europe time zone based in London, 12th of April at 3:30 a.m. So what you'll see is we've got the new moon at 22 degrees of Aries, super close to Venus, and Mercury is flanking the lunation as well. And Venus is forming the square aspect to Pluto. So that's a feature of this lunation. And we've also got the sextile to Mars. So there is this sort of decide and do potentially around a relationships issue. Venus is combust, she's in detriment. So this isn't particularly favorable or helpful for Venusian matters. So this might mean what I get from this lunation is that Venus in Aries wants to just do her own thing. She just wants to get from A to B fast. But there is this Pluto piece here where if you go deeper, if you go a little slower, you may not get where you want to go as fast, but you'll go further, if you like. There is this energy here that can help support you in making decisions where you've been feeling a little bit, indecisive or undecisive. So the supportive sextile suggests that, the way forward may not be as linear as you think. The energy of Aries is just tunnel vision, whereas Mars in Gemini is a little bit, what about this thing? And what about this option? Let's think about that. Or what about this thing? So it's a bit distracted. So this new moon is, going to support desires. Venus is a planet of desire, as is Mars. And they're both very influential in this lunation. I also love that Mars, the ruling planet of the lunation, is applying to trine Jupiter. So this is a super juicy lunation, particularly for getting clear on what you want and moving forward in for getting it. And this is why I think this is such a great lunation for the vision boards, for the manifesting, and for deciding on the things that you want in the upcoming astrological new year. So I've touched on Mercury moving through the signs very quickly. We've got the 14th, we have, and 15th here in Australia, Venus in Taurus. So this is a huge shift for Venusian energy, for relationships, and all those Venus ruling things. So Venus in Taurus, she's coming home into her nighttime domicile. So where Venus has been, not so happy in Aries, she's now coming into a more embodied place. So this might help you. Taurus isn't really like Aries where it's talking about I want. Venus in Taurus already has an innate awareness of what she wants. It's rather than Aries being Mars ruled and going out and getting it, Venus in Taurus just demands it because she's there. So there is this sense of Venus attraction coming through there. And so this might also help you slow down the pace a little bit, smell the roses. It may also support you in taking care of your body. This is a very earth embodied, go slow. Let's not work too hard. Let's enjoy the view as we're going to where we want to go. Venus in Taurus is very sensual, very embodied with the senses and with the physical realm. So this is going to be maybe just enjoying a little bit of luxury potentially too. Venus will, continue on and she won't change signs until next month. Then on the 18th, just after Mercury connects with Mars via sextile, it will form the cazimi with the sun. Now, I did do a Mercury cazimi video on my YouTube channel, and I would have discussed it here as well last month. So this is the 18th of April. So Mercury is getting very close, so 29 degrees there. So the 19th here in Australia. So Mercury cazimi, this is what we call the superior conjunction. So this is the midpoint between retrograde cycles. So we're halfway through the last and halfway towards getting to the next one. Now, this particular one sees Mercury on the other side of the sun from Earth. So this is about thinking beyond where you are right now. In Aries, 29 degrees, one of those pivotal degrees where Mercury is still full of gusto and oomph, but also recognizing that it's going to slow down and go into a very different cycle through Taurus. But the idea of Mercury cazimi in this superior position is really, again, embodying the sort of Aries New Moon vibe. This month is where am I now? And where, thinking beyond the here and now. Where do I want to be? And taking those actions, making those decisions that will support you where you want to be, not just now where it might feel safe, secure, and comfortable, but what risk can I take now that can support me where I want to go, in the future. And Mars is still very tightly configured to this. So this really does, again, emphasize the idea of support, of decide and do, and maybe taking action today that maybe your future self will thank you for. Venus is already in Taurus. Now, the next, exciting aspect of the month is Mars's move into Cancer. So Mars has been very busy little bee, as Commodus from The Gladiator says. I always think of when this character Commodus that Joaquin Phoenix played in what's it called, the Gladiator, where he goes, someone's been busy, little bees, and it just always reminds me of Gemini, obviously lighter and brighter than what that character was suggesting. But nonetheless, we have Mars moving into Cancer. This happens on the 23rd, 24th. So this is I guess, a dignity downgrade for Mars because it's in its fall now. And this is difficult territory for dry, crisp, clarifying Mars when it's in the watery terrain of feelings and emotions. So a lot of the actions here on end may have a different tone than what they had, leading up until this point. We've got the planet of force, free will, energy, and momentum is in a fluctuating phase now, as opposed to being stimulated or energized or highly movable. So you might feel that some of your actions will be based on emotions, will be based on feelings, will be based on the mood. Okay, so it might be really important to factor in what the moon is doing when you're making different choices throughout the next 6 weeks. So when the moon moves in water signs of Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, it's definitely going to emphasize this particular transit. And of course, when the moon is in Taurus as well, because that's the moon's exaltation. So do watch for the moon over the next 6 weeks and monitor for yourself how your feelings determine the action that you take. So if you're very disciplined and regimented, you might decide, hey, don't feel like doing that particular thing today. So, and then the next sort of, I guess, major influence of this month is the full moon in Scorpio. So this is another Mars-ruled lunation, as we had with the new moon in Aries on the 11th and the 12th. But this is a very different Mars influence now. So not only do we have, let me just get that more exact for you. Not only do we have Mars ruling the lunation, it's now also in a water sign of Cancer. So this is a very deep, emotional, cathartic, purgative lunation, which we already have when we have a Scorpio new moon, a full moon, but this is going to be emphasized with this particular transit of Mars. So newly in Mars, it's still kind of gaining momentum there. Mars is also in the Egyptian terms, its own Egyptian terms. So the first 6 degrees of Cancer is ruled by Mars. So this is a very self-protective, very emotional, a little bit more ferocious kind of full moon, maybe probing into the feelings, either yours or somebody else's. I go into this much more deeply in the weekly video too, but even if some confrontations or difficult feelings pop up, there is a potential here where Venus and Mercury coming together might help you get on the same page. While I fully don't understand how you're feeling, but I can listen, I can help you, we can have the conversations that can perhaps bring us forward or bring us closer together. With a high Mars energy right now, Venus and Mercury, it might be through the words and the conversations, and you may not understand the feelings, but the words and the conversations can help make sense of things. It's going to be a very complex lunation for sure. Deep, intense, emotive, potentially passive aggressive. But if you can work through some of those triggering emotions and maybe use a little bit of logic, a little bit of caution, a little bit of care, you can potentially get to the other side and hopefully for the better. So that is the overall for the month ahead. Definitely a decide and do month. A lot of potential to get things happening, particularly if there's parts of your life that have felt a little bit stuck or stagnant or taking their time in getting ahead. I think there's a lot that can happen this month. Then by the end, things do slow down a little bit by the time Mercury moves into Taurus, and then later that week, Mars into Cancer, where we might have to slow down a little bit, take stock, and consider our feelings as well. So I hope you enjoy the overview. Of course, we go deeper into all of these things through the weekly videos. And until next time, I look forward to catching you then.